Hey loves, this is Bobby and I'm here with another video. And this is going to be a TBR video. Yes, this is for a readathon. I am starting my new year off with a bang. Of course, I'm taking part in readathons. If you are new to the channel, I tend to do most of my TBRs off of readathons. I just have so much fun with them and I love the different prompts that the creators come up with. I've gotten in some crazy awesome books and books that I honestly don't think I would have probably picked up or thought to pick up right away because of these prompts. So I do tend to stick to readathons for my TBR. I'm thinking of coming up with a kind of TBR game just so I can get in more books, but for right now I'm just really love doing readathons. It's just so much fun. I love the community around it. It's really how I have gotten into booktube and everything and the book community. So for right now I'm still sticking to my readathons. So for this readathon, this is going to be the pop culture readathon. This is the next round of it. I took part in the previous round, which was centered all around the 90s and 90s movies. It was so much fun. I read some awesome books. I did complete my goal of doing a line per board. I am going for the same thing this time around. For this time around though, it is 3 books per line, so I'm going for all 4 boards. This time around though, you are able to double, triple, quadruple up prompts for these, so I'm trying to stick with 1 book per prompt for my lines. Whether these books tie into other prompts on the boards, I am fine with that, but for, because I do want to get as many prompts in. But for my actual solid lines that I know ahead of time that I'm going to be doing, I am doing one book per prompt for the lines. This one is centered all around the 80s. I threw together my best Ducky look from Pretty in Pink. Say what you will about the character of Ducky, I loved the dude's style. I centered my personal fashion for a long time around him. It was so weird and quirky, and I know it's supposed to be a total nerdy type of look, but I thought the dude had style. Got my bolero tie, got my fedora, and of course I got those glasses. So let's get into this. This readathon takes place during the entire month of January, so feel free to jump in whenever. The prompts are so much fun and I love the movies that all of these are tied into. So here we go. I'm going to drop all of the information down below for the Twitter page and everything, so feel free to check it out. Like I said, this is just a blast and there are some really cool prompts that you can definitely double, triple up very easily. So before we get started though, I need to switch out of these glasses because I can't see a damn thing because it is dark as hell. Okay, much better. Also, I feel like these glasses totally fit this look as well, so here we go. For the first board, we are going with the Brat Pack, and this is all of the teen type of movies. I love pretty much every single one of these movies on here. The line that I'm going to be going for is this one right here, and that is for the movie Pretty in Pink, Say Anything, and Teen Witch. So let's get into these books. So for the prompt of Pretty in Pink, it is to read a book with a pink cover. I am going with Bunny by Mona Awad. I have heard that this is one weird ass book. I still have not really seen anybody talk about what exactly this book is about because everyone just kind of says it's weird. I love really odd type of writing. I love the unreliable narrative. I love books where I don't know what the hell is going on for most of it. Also, I think this has kind of like a almost thriller mystery type of element to it from what I have gathered, and I don't like to know what those type of books are about because I always guess the ending or the huge twist. I like to go into these blind, so I'm going to be doing that with that, so I can't even tell you what this is about. From what I've kind of gathered about this book, this follows the story of a girl who attends a kind of elitist type of school, I believe, like that, and there is a group of girls known as the Bunnies, and she kind of gets invited into it. She thinks it's kind of stupid, but when, you know, you get invited to the popular crowd, she gets intrigued and finds herself in this really weird type of circumstances that have to do with a lot of weird shit. So I just want a weird book. I'm not going into this expecting too much because, like I said, I haven't really seen that many reviews on it, and when people review it, they seem to just not know what the hell to talk about it. So I'm very interested in it, and it has the pink cover. I was given this as a gift, so I've been wanting to read it. Like I said, I love really weird books. Now to spot number 2 is for the movie Say Anything, and it is the prompt Opposites Attract. I am going with Soul of the Sword by Julie Kagawa. This is the second book in the Shadow of the Fox trilogy. I read the first book in December and I absolutely fell in love with it. It was really cute. We follow the story of a young girl named Yumeko who is a half human, half kitsune, which is a fox demon spirit type of thing. This has to do around Japanese mythology, and she is raised in this temple where they guard this scroll that if anybody gets the 3 pieces, they will be able to release this all-powerful dragon that is able to grant a wish and bring about the end of the world. This follows the story, kind of the trope of Wizard of Oz, where we move along on our journey, have a bunch of side quests, and build up our kind of party. It is so much fun. It was really cute, really tropey, but just a lot of fun. I was expecting kind of a serious book, so when I read this and I saw that it was just really adorable, because Yumeko is one of the most adorable, naive characters ever. I fell in love with her. For the romance, she is rescued by this, he is a samurai for the Shadow Clan, and he is the dark, brooding character. She is the bubbly, happy one. They are the most opposite of opposites, and I cannot wait to see where this story goes. It is just, like I said, book 1 was so much fun that I could not wait to get into book 2. I have actually just bought the second book. I'm waiting for it to get to me in the mail, so as soon as I get that, this might be one of the first ones that I actually read, because I am just so excited for it. So there we go. Prompt number 3 is for the movie Teen Witch, and that is for the prompt of a teenage magic user. I am going with Night of the Dragon by Julie Kagawa. This is the 3rd book in the Shadow of the Fox trilogy. I want to finish this series. I need to know what is going to happen. Kirsten over on Reading Nymph has just finished the series, and she said the last book was so good that she even got emotional, and I am dying to get to the ending. So when I saw that this works because we do, all of the characters are teenagers, so they are magic users, we have magic going on, so I am counting this. I want to finish this series because I need to know what's gonna happen. And Kristen even said that she cried during a part, so I listened to the audiobooks while at work, so I'm hoping I don't start crying. I'm not a crier really, but I'm so attached to these damn characters by just book 1 that I am terrified like what's gonna happen, because I don't need to be standing at work cutting up food and like crying over the food, because that's like a health risk. So hopefully I don't cry, but I am so pumped for this series. I cannot wait to get to the ending. I don't exactly know what book 2 and 3 are about, because I want to go in blind with them, but it's just a fun, book 1 was so much fun. I definitely highly recommend you guys check them out. So moving on to board number 2, this is Elm Street, and this has to do with all the 80s horror movies. The line I'm going to be going with is this one. For the first tile, it is Lost Boys, and this is a book that features vampire lore. I was gifted this book about 2 months ago, and I have been dying to read it because Kirsten over on Reading Nymph has raved about this book, and I am very curious about it. When it comes to vampire books, honestly, I don't mind the super cheesy kind of YA type of vampires at all. I wasn't a fan of Twilight growing up. I felt like maybe I was a little too old when it really got popular. I was already out of high school, so it didn't click with me, but that was just a personal thing. I do like other type of vampires. I love the adult kind of full-on horror vampires, but I enjoy like Anne Rice vampires. So I'm very, very curious about this, and that is The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. People say though that this, like, the vampires are kind of like not fully mentioned vampires, but I don't know. I just know they are vampires in there. This takes place in New Orleans. That is one of the places I am dying to visit. So we're following the story of a girl who is kind of in hiding and on the run. She goes and lives with, I believe it's like a covenant type of thing. Convent, my bad, covenant. A convent. And they are hiding her, and she eventually finds her way into this kind of secret group, and the leader might just be a vampire. That's all I really know about it. It sounds super interesting. I cannot wait to read this. I'm kind of just expecting a kind of fun teenage tropey type of vampire book. Okay, for the next prompt, it is for the tile of No More Wire Hangers, which is Mommy Dearest. I always loved that movie. I watched it as a kid and I found it really fucked up, but yeah, it's an interesting movie, just super, super long. And the prompt is family dynamic. I'm going with A Close and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers. This is the second book in the Wayfarer series. I'm not actually sure how many books are in this series. I read A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet last month in December, and I loved it. I thought it was amazing. Very Star Trek-y found family. So this, and they are a very dysfunctional family, so I feel like it fits. So we don't have any, you know, crazy mothers in it, but I am excited. I don't know what the second book is about. I just know that we are following this crew while they make their way across the universe. It was really fun. Like I said, it was just a really fun found family type of book, so I'm very excited to get into the second book. My main goal for this year is to read series and actually finish these series, because I'm notorious for starting series and never finishing them. I really did fix that last year with all the books I was reading, but I want to keep on track with that, so I'm very excited for this one. And for the third tile is Aliens, and that is a space opera. And I'm going to be going with The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. I love this book. I have read this book 10 times or more. I'm actually going to be doing the audiobook for the very first time since getting into audiobooks. I'm very curious on how the audiobook is for this. Like I said, I've read it. It's not a very long book, but I have read this book so many times. It's one of my comfort reads. It just makes me laugh. I am so excited for the audiobook on this. I do listen to my audiobooks at work on a headphone, so I am prepared that I'm just going to be standing there cracking up and nobody's going to know what the hell's going on. But yes, I cannot wait. Just the book is so sarcastic and just so hilarious. Like I said, I cannot wait for the audiobook on this. Okay, moving on to card number 3, and that is Adventures in Babysitting. These are the movies that kind of focus more around kids and everything. This was the hardest one to pick a line for because I love so many of them, but I ended up deciding on this line, and let's get into this. The first prompt I'm going for is Ghostbusters, and this is a book featuring a ghost. And I'm going with a graphic novel, and that is Anya's Ghost by Vera Brogosol. I've had this book on my shelf for a while. This is a graphic novel. This follows the story of a girl who ends up meeting a ghost at the bottom of a well, and they become best friends and then go from there. I've never really heard too much about this. I've seen it around, like the cover has always followed me everywhere. Like I said, I've had it on my shelf for probably about 2 years or so. So I'm very excited to see where this goes. I really got into reading a lot of graphic novels last year and I enjoyed it. I definitely want to stick with that, and I like reading these on my way to work and on my breaks at work because usually they are a lot thinner to carry and I fly through them and I enjoy them. I love what you call it, comic book graphic novel type of media. It's always been a favorite of mine, so I'm very excited to get into this one. I think this one might be more middle grade or so. I'm not really sure the age on it, but they do seem a little younger, but maybe it might be teenagers. I'm not fully sure. The next one is Goonies, and it is for the prompt, a book featuring a treasure hunt or a heist, but you are not allowed to read Six of Crows, since that is the book absolutely everybody would go to. I absolutely love heists. It has been one of my favorite type of movies and everything. I enjoy books. Even if it's not a really well done heist, I still tend to enjoy them. I've actually had this ebook on my Kindle forever. I've never heard it mentioned by anybody, but it is called The Palace Job by Patrick Weeks. This follows the story of a character who has been framed by the kind of like most powerful man in this region, and she is sent to prison for that. So as payback, she is attempting to steal a priceless manuscript from his family, and she gets her crew together, and they are made up of a really kind of ragtag team, which, let's, hold on, I have to pull up the thing on this, because I know it's a really weird group of people, and I can't remember exactly all of them. Okay, so we've got a crack team that includes an illusionist, a unicorn, a death priestess, a talking warhammer, and a lad with a prophetic birthmark. So yeah, it sounds weird, and yeah, you did hear me right. There is a unicorn apparently in this group, and like I said, it just sounds really freaking weird. And this is a trilogy, I believe. I've never heard it mentioned anywhere. I think the first 2 or 3 books on my Kindle, and I have had them for a few years now, and I've just kind of always forgot about them. I like to buy ebooks, but I always forget about them because I don't have them physically staring at me to like, hey, let's read this. But when I saw Heist, I'm like, you know what? It's about time I read this book. So I am very excited for this one. I am just wondering what the hell is going to happen in this, because like I said, I have absolutely no expectations because I don't know what to expect because I have never heard this book mentioned anywhere. The last prompt that I'm going with is for the Spot of Annie, and that is a retelling. I am going to be going with Foul is Fair by Hannah Capin. This is a modern retelling of sorts of Macbeth. We follow the story of a girl and her friends who they are kind of the who's who of their school, while they decide to go to this party of like from another elite school. I think it's like an all-boys school, and she is targeted by this group of boys, and they messed with the wrong girl because she decides that she's going to get revenge on them, and she is going to release all hell for them. I've never heard this book mentioned, but when I looked it up, because I remember hearing that it is, I really like the cover. That was why I bought it. This is a full-on cover buy for me. And I remembered hearing that it was a retelling, but I couldn't remember what it was a retelling of, so I had to kind of look it up. And while looking it up, I saw a few reviews. I didn't get too into reviews. I tend not to read reviews before I read a book because I want to go in completely, I want to go in unbiased. I don't want any kind of thoughts beforehand before I go into a book. But all of the reviews I have seen have been really positive. They say it was a really great retelling, and that's when I found out it was a Macbeth retelling. Because like I said, I knew it was something to do with Shakespeare, but I couldn't remember which Shakespeare play it was supposed to be. But I'm really excited for this one. It sounds really cool. And from the description, it just, I'm here for it. Like, it's supposed to be a hell yeah feminist type of thing. So I'm really excited to get into this one. This is like one of the top ones on my TBR besides the rest of the Shadow and the Fox trilogy. Also, on that note, I am not going to be reading these books because I don't think you have to go in any particular order, because you can assign one book to so many different prompts if you want, that I am going to be bouncing all over the place. I'm not going to be going board by board. The first one I do know I want to read is the second book for Shadow and the Fox. So that one, Foul is Fair, might actually be the second book I read because I don't want to read the second and third book for Shadow of the Fox back to back. I like to space out my series a little bit just so I don't get kind of like burned out on characters or anything like that. So yeah, I'm going to be all over the place with these. So for the next card is going to be card number 4, and that is 9 to 5. And these are like the kind of working class type of movies. A lot of these are more like contemporary or like romance type of books. I almost didn't do this card because I'm not a big fan of any of the prompts, but I do want to get in a few more rereads this year, and I was able to assign a reread to this this card. So this is the line I am going for. The first card is Beaches, and this is an emotionally charged read. I am not a super emotional person, especially when it comes to like crying or anything like that. It takes a lot for me, and I can guarantee you there's no book that I can read the summary for and say, oh my god, this book is gonna make me cry. So I'm doing a reread for this, and I'm going to be doing the audiobook because I fell in love with the book when I read it. I think I read it in 2019, and it was one of my absolute favorite books from that year, and I sobbed like a baby when I read it. And I don't know, I've heard that the audiobook is absolutely phenomenal, so I'm really curious about that, and because the formatting is very different for this, so I definitely want to try the audiobook for it. So I'm ready for this, and I'm ready to listen to the audiobook, but emotionally I'm not, because I'm already like feel like I'm going to cry just thinking about the ending to this damn book again. And that is Sadie by Courtney Summers. Courtney Summers actually has a new book coming out in 2021 called The Project, and I am so ready for it. I love her writing. I have read a couple books from her already, and I've loved all of them. They go anywhere from 4 to 5 stars. So Sadie, we follow the story of a girl named Sadie who, this is told in a format of, we're following Sadie, but we're also following a man who has a podcast. And I've heard that the audiobook, we really take that podcast type of element to it. It really just opens it up so much more. I read this physically, so I'm very curious because I read this before I was able to really enjoy audiobooks, so now I'm really curious about the audiobook. But Sadie, well, the man, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, Wes McCrae. He runs this podcast, and he is contacted by Sadie's grandma because Sadie has gone missing, and she wants him to help her find her and what has happened to her. And Sadie has gone missing because her sister was murdered. This has a lot, and I mean a lot of content warnings, so please look into them. But we have child murder, we have rape, we have a lot. There are a lot of triggers. When I read this book, I did not know what it was about, and this is one of those times where I was really glad I didn't know what it was about, because if I would have, I probably wouldn't have picked it up, because anything to do with like rape, or especially with children, I tend to not want to read that. I don't want anything to do with that. But I'm really glad that I read this because, like I said, I'm not a emotional reader. Like, I'll get really emotional when I'm reading a book. Like, I'll like, oh my god, I love it, and I get really excited, or I get really angry about it. But like crying and stuff like that has never been me. I don't really cry during movies. It's super rare. So this book just hit it. And when we're following Sadie, she's looking for someone because she knows who hurt her sister, and she's trying to find this person, and we're following her journey. And then we're also following West, who is trying to find her and find out what happened to her, because she's been missing for a while. And that ending, the entire like last couple good little chunk of this, I sat in my bed and I was sobbing. I had to put the book down because I could not read, because I was crying so hard. So I am very interested. I'm a little nervous about listening to this because I will be listening to it at work most likely, and I really don't want to be standing there crying. So we'll see how this goes, but I am very excited to reread this. I have been wanting to reread it since I first finished it, because I just don't have books that hit me that hard, and this book ran me over and backed up and then hit me again. So I'm ready for it, but I'm not at the same time. For the next prompt is for the tile of Fame, a hard-hitting contemporary. I don't really know if this counts as contemporary, but I'm gonna count it because I don't really read contemporary very much. But this kind of is thriller, but it's in that kind of more real world type of thing, so I'm counting it. And I am reading this because of Sadie. I really enjoyed, everything that happened with Sadie and everything about it. This is kind of similar in a sense, and I'm very curious about it. I've had it on my shelf for a couple months, and I've never really heard anything about it, so I'm very curious. And that is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. This follows the story of a girl whose best friend Monday has gone missing. She doesn't show up a week later. She doesn't show up, you know, she just never pops up. And her friend Claudia tries to question her mom about what happened, and her mom is being really secretive, and she starts questioning around like, when was the last time anybody saw Monday? And nobody can exactly say when the last time she was, and nobody seems to really care or notice that this girl is gone. It just sounds like it'll hit me really hard the way Sadie did. I'm very curious about this one. For someone who doesn't really like to read, you know, like I don't go out of my way to read books like this, but when they do catch my attention, I really want to, because I also read The Female of the Species, and I really enjoyed that book. It was another one along this line. Like, if you enjoyed Sadie, I would definitely recommend it. It hit me in the gut pretty hard. I didn't cry or anything, but it kind of messed me up. So I do, saying I enjoy them is a little odd, but they hit me really hard and I just kind of connect with them. And I don't like to read books like this that often because our world is shitty as it is, so I don't like to read really kind of depressing stuff like this, but sometimes you just need to, and I feel like this book is going to hit me hard. I don't have a lot of books like that on my shelf, so I'm very curious about this one. I'm very excited for it. So if you've read this one though, I'd really like to know. If you read this one and you've read Sadie, I'm really curious if you enjoyed both of them. Since that is why I picked this one up, is because of Sadie, because it does sound pretty similar. And like I said, Sadie just hit me so hard, so I'm very curious about this one. And for the last prompt on this video is going to be for the tile of Splash, and that is to read a book featuring mermaids or sirens. I'm going to be going with The Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. This has to do with sirens. I'm actually not 100% sure what this is about. I had seen it kind of all over the place when it was coming out, and then I heard some really good things about it, and then I just kind of like fell off and I haven't heard it very much. But I have it on my shelf, and I almost went with All the Stars and Teeth, I believe is the name of the book, but this one kind of was staring at me, and then the yellow of it really popped, and I thought it sounded cool. We follow the story of two best friends who, one of them, I believe, is secretly a siren, and this has to do, I've heard that this has a lot of social commentary. We do have two black main characters, which I'm very excited for. Like I said, I heard a lot of people that were really excited for this book, and then it kind of just fell off, so I don't really know what to expect from it or anything. I love anything to do with like mermaids and sirens, so I'm very curious about this one. The cover art was absolutely beautiful. That was what caught my eye about this one the most, was the cover. So I cannot wait to get into this one. I'm just really hoping for a really cool kind of sirens. I don't catch that many siren books. Mermaids seem to be a lot more popular, so I'm curious on how the mythology and everything is taken into this. So there we go. That wraps up my PopCulture Readathon TBR. I am so excited for this readathon. I am excited for every single one of these books, and I cannot wait. This was so much fun last time. Like I said, I'm going to try and knock out as many of the prompts as I can. These are just the ones that I am mainly focusing on because I do want to do a different readathon as well during the month, which, like I said at the beginning of the video, I will hopefully get that TBR up soon. I still have to get my actual TBR together, but yep, if you are taking part, I would love to know if you have, you know, your boards picked out on Twitter. I would love to check out your, you know, what books you're reading or what lines you're going for. If you have a TBR video up, I'd love to watch it. What are some of your favorite 80s movies? Are they on any of these boards? I definitely have a lot of them because Lost Boys is one of my all-time favorite vampire movies. Pretty in Pink, I adored that movie growing up. The Goonies I love, so I am so just ready for this. There is also a Discord channel, but like I said, for this readathon, where I believe they do sprints and everything, and they also do watch-alongs for some of these movies, so I'm very excited for it. Like I said, once again, I will drop all those links down below. So as always, I'm Bobby. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Bye, and happy reading.